Hey folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our book for today is Legion by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this is the first book in the Legion trilogy or series. I'm not sure. I'll leave that on screen. And the publisher is, I'm also not sure. I'll leave it also on screen later. I'll look it up. Now, there is violence, bombing, killing, blood, torture, mental disorders, and hallucinations in this one. So if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so this is the first book of Brandon Sanderson I have ever read. I have heard of him before. I don't remember if a specific series, but I have seen his name before. I thought of one day reading one of his books, and then a few weeks ago, I was in Dizengoff Center, and I saw this in the bookstore, and thought, oh, great, it's a little short book to try something of Mr. Sanderson's. So I bought it, and I finally finished reading it. So we follow our main character, Stefan Leeds, interesting name, who has hallucinations. Or I don't. No, they don't give him a diagnosis. Anyway, he has these hallucinations that are like the actual people. Oh, you got Ivy, Tobias, JC. Those are the main three ones, and the others I already kind of forgot their names. But anyway, he has these hallucinations, and they help him because each hallucination is knowledgeable in something else. Ivy's, I guess you could say, a very good detective, and she can tell if people are lying. Tobias is a philosopher and very good at history and information. JC's a Marine. Anyway, he's the army guy. He's good with guns, shooting, operations, things like that. And there are many other ones. There's one that's good with computers, one that's very good with handwriting, to check someone's handwriting to see if it was written by the same person or not. Anyway, there's many others. And it looks like Stefan has been like this for a very long time. They don't say how the hallucination started or when. We just we just go into it, which made me think that maybe I had a book. This wasn't the first book; it was a book later in the series. Because it kind of starts like you're already supposed to know this stuff before. But although it does, you're still well filled in. There's all these mentions here and there. Again, made me think this was a later book in the series, but still, it helps you go right into the groove of things. Well, anyway, Stefan is quite somewhat famous. Many psychiatrists want to interview and want to study him. They want to study him. And that's how he makes money. People come to him for consultations. And he has a mansion. When I first started the book, I thought, he's rich. And I just thought, that's a bit too convenient, isn't it? He's got this mental problem, and he's also rich, convenient. But no, he made his money, because, all these hallucinations need a room for each of them. Because I thought about it, imagine he had only a small apartment and all of them in there. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, he lives how he lives. He has a butler, a very, very good butler. Seems like he's handling all the hallucination stuff. And then, cleaning staff that comes and goes because they can't handle it that well. But anyway, he lives in his mansion, and it makes money out of consultations. And we start the story, someone coming to him, but it's a student that wants to, want to study him and things. Doesn't work out. With his hallucinations, Stefan finds out that he's just there to record and to send him on a goose hunt. Or not a goose hunt. Anyway, to send him on to find his fiancée that's not even real. But then the next day, Stefan receives an envelope with a photo. Car horns. With a photo in it. The first photo is of a beach. A very distinctive one where you can tell that it's been, the picture has been taken many years ago before a camera was even invented. Now, Stefan lets his hallucination, it's good with photography and computers check that, and he's not sure if it's fake or not. He and his hallucinations wonder about that. And then the next day he receives another photograph, and then he knows that this is then one of George Washington in his bathroom shaving. And then there's a third day where he gets another one. Then there's a number on the back of that one. As again, all these photographs that were taken back in the time period where there was no way, there wasn't even a camera. So he gets there's a number on the back of a photograph. He calls it. A woman comes. Her name is Monica. So she runs this company, and they had this guy, Razan. I'm probably butchering his name. That's his name, Razan. And he's he built this camera. He created this camera that can take pictures into the past. He can stand somewhere, and I think he sets the time that he wants to take the picture in, and he takes a photo, and it takes a photo of what was there, whatever time period he chooses. If he chose to take a picture 100 years ago. So that's how that works. At first I thought, a time machine. But not a time machine. Which explained it, because the picture of George Washington, he probably would have noticed if someone was standing in front of him with a weird object he's never seen. Anyway, so Monica, first, she kind of hides things from Stefan. She wants him to help her find his camera. She says they built it and an employee stole it, but Razan's the one who built it, created it, and came to Monica for, he told people about it. Monica's the only one who took him seriously and gave him funding. Well, anyway, the way she persuades Stefan to join them is she shows him a photo of a woman named Sandra. Now, Sandra is someone that Stefan knew, and 10 years before this, she disappeared. She just vanished, left, and he couldn't find her since. And by what he tells us, she helped him get his hallucinations under control, more or less. She helped him a lot, and then she suddenly disappeared, and he's been wondering where she is ever since. It was like bad things happened in the past. Some of Stefan's hallucinations became nightmares, and some of them had disappeared. Yeah, that's all we get. Anyway, Stefan is, he goes to help Monica because he wants to find out more about Sandra. Monica says, we can help you find some more, but we need you to help us find the camera. Now again, here Ivy helps him. It's like, I also thought, how do you have these pictures if the camera was stolen? So Monica preemptively took some photos. Anyway, they start searching for Razan. They go to his apartment, and together with Ivy, Tobias, and JC, Stefan investigates the apartment. And they find out clues to what Razan wants to do. He wants to go to Israel to prove or disprove if Jesus was real. So they all fly there. On the flight there, we see how Stefan creates a hallucination. Because while they fly, he reads a book about Hebrew and creates a new hallucination that knows Hebrew to help him. So that's interesting how that works. And also, Monica's at some point disappointed. She thought when they're in the apartment, I thought you would, change in and out of personalities. And he tells her that's like what Moon Knight has, dissociative personality disorder. It's probably, I think though it has a new name. But anyway, that's what she thought he has. So we learned that it hurts Stefan most that, when people give him that look that they're handling dynamite with cooking mittens. Anyway, they go to the sacred places in Israel, where everyone takes pictures, where they bury Jesus. Yeah, that was where they supposedly buried Jesus. Anyway, they go around investigating. Monica investigates with her men. Stefan asks around himself. He does it in a clever way. Starts talking to a guard that's about to leave. Casually goes to him with his hallucination, he calls them aspects, actually. With his aspect that he created, Kelly. Anyway, with the new aspect lady. And, he casually mentions, we've been to this other place. There was this crazy guy with the big camera coming around everywhere, taking a bunch of pictures. And they're like, oh, not they. So the guard's like, oh, so he's been here too. And he says, yeah, he has. And Stefan's like, oh, he has. And he's like, yeah, he has. So that's how he finds out that Razin's been there 2 days ago and already took pictures. And he used this flash and he had this camera. Anyway, they all... Stefan meets up with Monica and her goons again. And he tells them that Razin's already been there. And they go somewhere else. They go in the cars. Also, Stefan finds out that two of his aspects, Ivy and JC, who we thought hated each other, were making out. That's something. Even I was like, oh. That was a funny bit. Probably not meant to be, but it was funny. Anyway, as they go, and he's thinking that suddenly everything goes black. Someone blew up the car in front of them, where the goons were. And they kidnapped Monica and Stefan. They're in some building, tied up, and then this organization comes in from the Philippines. They say that they're this peaceful organization. It's Islamic. But then Tobias... also, the aspects are also tied up, except JC, who again has military training and knowledge. I wonder how Stefan created him. I wonder if all the aspects were created purposefully, or did some of them appear? I don't know. Well, anyway, they come in. They offer Stefan, to help us. They also heard of him. How much will you help us for? And he says $1 million. And they take him out of the room. Monica yells at him that he's a traitor. But he only does that to see how he can get them out of this. They take him into another room where the camera is and tell him, make it work for us. And he tells them to bring Razan. And they bring him, and poor Razan, he's beaten up. They cut his hand off. Jesus. Poor guy. I mean, we find out that I forgot to mention what Stefan realizes when they're there where Jesus was, that Razan probably had help to escape and to get into Israel. He probably didn't do any of this alone, because in his apartment, they find a gun that's never been fired. So he must have gotten it from somewhere, but he didn't buy it himself. Anyway, he's been, I think he's been tricked, I think, by these guys from the... not tricked. He bragged to his mom Razin bragged to his mom that he created this camera and he was going to, go prove, and she told family, and anyway, got back to this terrorist organization. And then never brag to mom is the lesson here. So anyway, Stefan's trying to find a way to talk to him, so the other guys wouldn't hear, and their boss. They kind of manage, but then they grab Razin and start beating him up. And Stefan's trying to get them to stop because they'll kill the guy, and he himself doesn't know how to operate the camera. The reason Monica was looking so desperately for Razin, even though she already copied, all the blueprints and everything, the camera was they can never make the camera work for them. The people of her company, they built it like him, and it would work while Razin was with them. But after he would leave, the cameras would work for a little while, but then they would stop. And now Stefan's worried what they're going to do, because imagine this power. You have this power to just pick a time period, stand somewhere, and take a photo of what happened there. Imagine what would be with the crime systems, because then you have an easy way to prove an alibi if you were there or not. You go to a crime scene, take a few photos, and you already know what happened. Imagine the disaster. Imagine the blackmail, too. Scary. Almost as scary as Minority Report. That's a not fun scenario. Scenario. My brain's not working today. Alright, anyway. We move on to... he talks to the boss, whose name I already forgot. And then he finally noticed that... his aspects are talking to him, saying something. And he yells at them to shut up. And that's when the boss notices that his terrorists are beating up Razin too badly. He approaches him to check on him, see if he's still alive. Razin puts his, still existing hand into his pocket, or into his jacket to grab the gun. One of his terrorist guys panics and shoots him and kills him. And then, before anything else could happen, Monica has managed to, meanwhile, untie herself. She's not just a woman in the company, she's also some security, very well trained. So she starts shooting at them. Stefan hides behind some crates. Things are going wild. There's a bunch of shooting. There's a bunch of shooting. They don't know what to do. They corner Monica. It looks like she's about to be finished. And JC is trying to make Stefan, come on, kid, do something. Skinny, calls him Skinny. Do something. And Tobias said, Stefan, you can help Monica, or you can just escape right through here and go to safety. Anyway, in the end, Stefan does go to help Monica. He grabs a gun from one of the fallen terrorists, and JC guides his hand. He shoots all the terrorists. Monica's alright. She has been hit, but she'll live. He approaches Razin while they're standing there, and he feels there's something in his pocket that prinks his hand. Pricked. Anyway, something that scratched his hand and he's bleeding. Then he turns around to Monica, and one of the terrorists is still alive, and pull out a grenade. Anyway, he grabs Monica and then they start running towards the exit, and boom. Then we fast forward a month later. Monica came to see Stefan again. He has some bruises on his back that are still healing. Monica's hand's in a cast. She tells him, maybe you still want to work for us. They still haven't figured out how the camera works. She thinks Stefan purposefully dropped it, because he grabbed it with him when they ran out, but it fell and they couldn't obviously rebuild it again. Oh, right, because before Razan escaped with the only functioning camera, he destroyed and deleted all blueprint. He deleted all blueprints, and he destroyed any, any copy, any cameras that they rebuilt from his design. She offers him again, maybe work for us, and he declines. She gives him, I think, the photos of that she got from. She gives him that one photo of Sandra, and then she leaves. And then and then Stefan goes up to his study, where Tobias is already there. It looks like for this past month, Stefan has been reading books about physics and such. Because he puts down the book, and now Stefan asks him, so, you figured out how the camera works. So the whole thing is, the reason it didn't work is because Razan put in a special bulb into the camera. The special bulb that he put in. And Stefan thinks that it could only, do like 10 pictures before it went out. And that's why it never worked for them. Because he would go in, put in the correct bulb in, and that's when the camera would work. And that's why their own cameras wouldn't work, and why they would only work for a little while after Razan left. Now, halfway through the book, I thought that maybe Razan had some sort of power or something like that. And that's why the cameras would only work in his presence, because it was not the camera. It just used the camera to harness his own powers. But no, it's just a bulb. So Tobias congratulates him, saying, well done, you figured this out without us, without Ivy's help. So now Stefan says, he finally has a lead on Sandra. It's of course, it's cold now. It's a 10-year-old lead, but he now knows that she went to New York. And then out of the shadows, a new aspect appears. One that's a specialist in physics and things. I think that Stefan created him in order to maybe recreate the camera, perhaps, or to do something. Because I think this is what... I don't know if it's got to do with the camera, because Stefan still has that special bulb. So I don't know if he's planning to recreate the camera in order to use it to find Sandra or not. But it looks like he does want to find her. So, that's about it. That's all that happened. Oh, I've been talking a long time. But yeah, this has been a very interesting story. It was a little bit weird in a few places. I think there was a spelling mistake, too, in there. Not sure, though. But, yeah, overall, I found it very interesting. And, yeah, although I felt at first like maybe I was missing a book, it gets you right into the story. You immediately understand how it works, how the aspects work, how the story goes, how Stefan is. Stefan's overall an interesting guy. It was like he has difficulty with his aspects. He wants to live a normal life. And it looks like Sandra was someone that was able to help him do that. I think when he says like one of the reasons he might want to find her is she might have a cure for his, mental disorder, his condition. Maybe she does. Maybe he wants to get rid of all his aspects and live normally. Although Stefan says he doesn't. But who knows? But yeah, overall, it's really, really interesting. I enjoyed it. Actually, it was a shame it was so short. But there are 2 other books. Well, they're also quite short, too. But still, regardless, I do want to get the other 2 now, because I really want to finish this story and see where it goes. I think there are only 2 books. But I think I saw maybe there was some... like in between books. I'm not sure. I need to find out. But yeah, it was a good story. It was a very good story. Very interesting. And some interesting ideas, too, about the aspects. About the camera as well. Very good. I gotta say, well, I hardly ever mentioned covers, but I saw on Goodreads there's actually some really cool covers to this. And this one's okay, but it's not really. I wonder if it's supposed to be who. I think this might be Ivy. I think this is supposed to be JC because of the square jaw. This might be Tobias. I don't know who the other guys are. Well, anyway, good story if you like. I don't even. Can you call this science fiction or fiction? I don't know. Let's call it. I don't know. I need to see what genre this is. I have no idea. But yeah, it was good. If you like Brandon Sanderson, I think you'll enjoy this. If you like stories that are weird and have I don't know, the fancy cameras that can film into the past, you should give this one a read. Oh, I think there's something else I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, the terrorist organization wanted the camera to disprove Jesus was real. Yeah, I think that's what they wanted. So they could convince the Philippines to believe in Islam only. I think that was their goal. Oh yeah. Anyway, that is it, folks. Remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. And let me know if you read this, what you thought about it. Bye!